makes sense. Good morning. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you're having a wakeful morning. Okay. Let's study some scripture here. Hosea chapter 4, verse 1 through chapter 5, verse 15. Hear the word of the Lord, you Israelites, for the Lord has a covenant lawsuit against the people of Israel. For there is neither faithfulness nor loyalty in the land, nor do they acknowledge God. There is only cursing, lying, murder, stealing, and adultery. They resort to violence and bloodshed. Therefore the land will mourn, and all its inhabitants will perish. The wild animals, the birds of the sky, and even the fish in the sea will perish. Do not let anyone accuse or contend against anyone else, for my case is against you, priests. You stumble day and night, and the false prophets stumble with you. You have destroyed your own people. You have destroyed my people by failing to acknowledge me. Because you refuse to acknowledge me, I will reject you as my priests. Because you reject the law of your God, I will reject your descendants. The more the priests increased in number, the more they rebelled against me. They have turned their glorious calling into a shameful disgrace. They fed on the sin offerings of my people. Their appetites long for their iniquity. I will deal with the people and priests together. I will punish them both for their ways, and I will repay them for their deeds. They will eat, but not be satisfied. They will engage in prostitution, but not increase in numbers, because they have abandoned the Lord by pursuing other gods. Old and new wine take away the understanding of my people. They consult their wooden idols, and their diviner's staff answers with an oracle. The wind of prostitution blows them astray. They commit spiritual adultery against their God. They sacrifice on the mountaintops and burn offerings on the hills. They sacrifice under oak, poplar, and terebinth, because their shade is so pleasant. As a result, your daughters have become cult prostitutes, and your daughters-in-law commit adultery. I will not punish your daughters when they commit prostitution, nor your daughters-in-law when they commit adultery, for the men consort with harlots. They sacrifice with temple prostitutes. It is true, a people that lacks understanding will come to ruin. Although you, O Israel, commit adultery, do not let Judah become guilty. Do not journey to Gilgal. Do not go up to Bethaven. Do not swear as surely as the Lord lives. Israel has rebelled like a stubborn heifer. Soon the Lord will put them out to pasture like a lamb in a broad field. Ephraim has attached himself to idols. Do not go near him. They consume their alcohol. They engage in cult prostitution. They dearly love their shameful behavior. A whirlwind has wrapped them in its wings. They will be brought to shame because of their idolatrous worship. Hear this, you priests. Pay attention, you Israelites. Listen closely, O king. For judgment is about to overtake you. For you are like a trap to Mizpah, like a net spread out to catch Tabor. Those who revolt are knee-deep in slaughter, but I will discipline them all. I know Ephraim all too well. The evil of Israel is not hidden from me. For you have engaged in prostitution, O Ephraim. Israel has defiled itself. Their wicked deeds do not allow them to return to their God, because the spirit of idolatry controls their heart, and they do not acknowledge the Lord. The arrogance of Israel testifies against it. Israel and Ephraim will be overthrown because of their iniquity. Even Judah will be brought down with them. Although they bring their flocks and herds to seek the favor of the Lord, they will not find him. He has withdrawn himself from them. They have committed treason against the Lord, because they bore illegitimate children. Soon the new moon festival will devour them in their fields. Blow the ram's horn in Gibeah. Sound the trumpet in Ramah. Sound the alarm in Bethaven. Tremble in fear, O Benjamin. Ephraim will be ruined in the day of judgment. What I am declaring to the tribes of Israel will certainly take place. The princes of Judah are like those who move boundary markers. I will pour out my rage on them like a torrential flood. Ephraim will be oppressed, crushed under judgment, because he was determined to pursue worthless idols. I will be like a moth to Ephraim, like wood rot to the house of Judah. When Ephraim saw his sickness, and Judah saw his wound, then Ephraim turned to Assyria and begged its great king for help. But he will not be able to heal you. He cannot cure your wound. I will be like a lion to Ephraim, like a young lion to the house of Judah. I myself will tear them to pieces, then I will carry them off, and no one will be able to rescue them. Then I will return again to my lair, until they have suffered their punishment. They will seek me. In their distress they will earnestly seek me. Judgment. In verse 1 of chapter 4, hear the word of the Lord, you Israelites, for the Lord has a covenant lawsuit against the people of Israel. For there is neither faithfulness nor loyalty in the land, nor do they acknowledge God. And, oh gosh, can't remember the book it's in. But when Moses was giving the covenant law to the people, and I think, yeah. And then later, when Joshua was reading the covenant law to the people, and they had this huge thing where they assembled on two separate mountaintops, and one read the blessings entailed if the people followed the covenant law between them and God, and the cursings, and the other side read the cursings that the Lord would dispense to them if they failed to follow the covenant law. And so we have here a breach of the law, and the Lord has brought a covenant lawsuit against the people of Israel. It's the great divorce, as it were. And it's ridiculous too, because in verse 4, do not let anyone accuse or contend against anyone else, for my case is against you, priests. He's called out the priests among the people for particularly failing to guide his people. And Jeremiah had the same message against the priests. And memorizing this one, but I think I can remember where it's at. Nope. Jeremiah 23, chapter 1. Woe to the shepherds who are destroying and scattering the sheep of my pastures. And it goes on from there, but I have not quite got there yet. Yeah, you have caused my people to be dispersed and driven into exile. You have not taken care of them, so I will punish you for the evil you have done. I, the Lord, affirm it. Yeah, these false prophets and priests who are supposed to be spiritual leaders within the community of Israel, have done the exact opposite of what they were called to do and led their people into cultic prostitution and away from their living God. They've refused to acknowledge God in chapter 4, verse 6. And as they increase in number, they increase their rebellion against God. They consult wooden idols and diviner's staff, and sacrifice on mountaintops. And you could see that even in the period of the Judges, when Levitical priests would sacrifice for homeowners who had idols within their house and engage in pagan priest behavior for the people. But people who should know better are held to a higher standard in the Bible than people who aren't. And I think there's a good amount of blame that people levy against pastors and priests today for, the spiritual state of the nation. But I think it goes beyond that, because in the New Testament case, we're called to be a nation of priests. And if the body is not operating correctly, if the body of Christ isn't operating correctly, then it's certainly failed in some areas. And it's definitely, in my opinion, not just the pastor's fault. So, yeah. Okay, let's continue. 2 John, chapter 1, verses 1 through 13. From the elder to an elect lady and her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I alone, but also those who know the truth, because of the truth that resides in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace will be with us from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Son of the Father, in truth and love. I rejoiced greatly, because I found some of your children living according to the truth, just as the Father commanded us. But now I ask you, lady, not as if I were writing a new commandment to you, but the one we have had from the beginning, that we love one another. Now this is love, that we walk according to his commandments. This is the commandment, just as you have heard from the beginning, thus you should walk in it. For many deceivers have gone out into the world, people who do not confess Jesus as Christ, coming in the flesh. This person is the deceiver and the Antichrist. Watch out so that you do not lose the things we have worked for, but receive a full reward. Everyone who goes on ahead and does not remain in the teaching of Christ does not have God. The one who remains in this teaching has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, do not receive him into your house, and do not give him any greeting, because the person who gives him a greeting shares in his evil deeds. Though I have many other things to write to you, I do not want to do so with paper and ink, but I hope to come visit you and speak face to face, so that our joy may be made complete. The children of your elect sister greet you. Interesting. Is that the end of 2 John? That is the end of 2 John. In many ways, this seems for me to echo the same sort of sentiments that were in 1 John. That is, to operate in love, to be careful not to follow false prophets, and to identify false prophets and deceivers as those who do not confess Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh. So it's neat. It's neat that it's written to this woman and her family. It's also interesting that they were confronting this particular heresy so close after the formation of the church. Well, let's continue. Psalm 125, verses 1 through 5. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion. It cannot be upended and will endure forever. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people, now and forevermore. Indeed, the scepter of a wicked king will not settle upon the allotted land of the godly. Otherwise, the godly might do what is wrong. Do good, O Lord, to those who are good, to the morally upright. As for those who are bent on traveling a sinful path, may the Lord remove them, along with those who behave wickedly. May Israel experience peace. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion. It cannot be upended and will endure forever. Highlighting once again the faithfulness of the Lord. Let's continue. Proverbs 29, verses 9 through 11. If a wise person goes to court with a foolish person, there is no peace, whether he is angry or laughs. Bloodthirsty people hate someone with integrity. As for the upright, they seek his life. A fool lets fly with all his temper, but a wise person keeps it back. Ugh, don't like the translation for 9. Or 10 or 11. I like it better in the NASB with verse 9. When a wise man has a controversy with a foolish man, the foolish man either rages or laughs, and there is no rest. Yeah, it's very difficult when rationality is completely rejected, and there's and the responses are one of two: complete anger towards the argument, or laugh the argument off like you're some sort of idiot. Yeah. So, yeah. Rationality, good. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. See you later.